Moving forward, what a treat. What an absolute delight that we get a Big Ten West in its final year matchup in week 1 on Thursday. Let's get weird. The Nebraska Cornhuskers at the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Minnesota's a 7.5-point favorite with a 43.5 over-under. What a great Big Ten line that is, if you ask me. This game kicks off at 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox. 6.5 was available. It's not available anymore. I'm not a trends guy, but interestingly, the Huskers are 0-6 against the spread in their last 6 openers, and I'm not talking about games at Ohio State and at Michigan. They play Northwestern. We all remember that game. We're talking Illinois. They lost outright. Those are games that they were expected to win, that they are favored in. I actually took Minnesota -7. If you can find a 7 out there, I did take that because I'm really just fading Nebraska right now. They're dealing with some injuries to their running back room, some suspensions, a whole bunch of stuff going on there. And one of their best portal gets, tight end Eric Gilbert, he has not received his NCAA wager, so he is ineligible as of now. There is some optimism around here, but I'm not really counting on it. And to be honest, I don't know how much on the point spread a tight end is, even if he's a athlete. And then their top wide receiver, Marcus Washington, who's dealing with some camp injuries, but he is expected to play. How does the outcome of this game, which is an interesting matchup, how does the outcome of this game affect your chances to win the Big Ten West for these teams?
Yeah, I love this question, but I like these types of questions. They're fun, and that's why we have the numbers, so we can do these hypotheticals. As things stand, I have Minnesota with an 8% chance to win the West and Nebraska with a 3% chance to win the West. With a Minnesota win, all else equal, everything else stays the same. The Gophers' chances increase from 8% to 10%, while Nebraska's chances decrease from 3% to 1%, so 2% swings for both of them there. With a Nebraska win, all else equal again, the Huskers' chances increase from 3% to 7%, while Minnesota's chances decrease from 8% to 2%. So a bigger swing there, and it makes sense because that's the unexpected result. The numbers are not expecting a Nebraska win. I'll get into what my numbers say in a second. But because that would be an upset by the numbers, that's why you get more variability from the current projections to what would be the updated projections at that time. So obviously both teams going to have an improvement if they win. They go down if they lose. Nebraska can experience a more significant gain because right now the numbers are not projecting them to get that win.
Yeah, I've been talking about it throughout the podcast here, but with the new clock rules, the run-heavy teams are the games that I worry about, the low totals, and boy, we're talking about the Big Ten West. This is probably the matchup that I worry about the most with the new clock rules, any Big Ten West game, because chances are both teams are going to be, high T, established to run, that kind of stuff. You look at Nebraska's new offensive coordinator, Marcus Satterfield. He's talked about huddling before every play, running under center, and with multiple tight ends, which... Sure, I guess South Carolina wasn't really too sad to see him go to Lincoln, but this number's already at 43.5. I'm not going to play under that. That's already a really low total. It's also down from 46, so I'm not getting the best of the number. You're talking about a 6% move when you move through 45 and 44 on these totals historically, so that's not something I'm interested in, though. If you told me I had to absolutely pick a side, I'd be betting under this and certainly not over it. But what do your numbers say about the matchup itself?
This is my number 4 game of the week. My numbers have this as Minnesota -7. I have Minnesota rated number 32 overall with the number 10 projected defense in the country, which is good enough for only 3rd best in the Big Ten West. Again, number 10 in the country on defense, but within their own division is number 3, number 52 projected defense. Ironically, that's also projected to be 3rd in the Big Ten West. So you have the top 10 defense, that's 3rd in your division, and you have a number 52 offense, and that's also, excuse me, 52 offense, that's also 3rd best in your division. So interesting how the Big Ten West shapes up there. I think it's clear which side of the ball is stronger. Nebraska is power rated number 51 with a number 48 projected defense and a number 68 projected offense. So again, typical Big West fashion, Big Ten West fashion. The defense is clearly the stronger unit for both of these teams. I do expect a very even matchup between the Nebraska defense and the Minnesota offense. The difference for me in this game is that number 10 Minnesota defense against the number 68 Nebraska offense. So not to mention there's also the home field advantage baked in for the Gophers. I like Minnesota for those reasons. From a scheduling perspective, Minnesota has a home game against Eastern Michigan next week, so they shouldn't be looking ahead at all really to that game. Nebraska, on the other hand, they hit the road again. Week 1 and 2 on the road. This time for an awesome former Big 12 conference clash with Colorado. My numbers aren't necessarily high on Colorado, but this is a flashy game, a game that's going to get headlines like we're seeing with the Colorado TCU game in week 1. So Nebraska needs to make sure they're fully focused this week in Minneapolis. Bottom line, my numbers have Minnesota -7 at home. That equates to a 70% win expectancy for the Gophers.
I am so excited for that Nebraska-Colorado game, like beyond excited. Ethan Kaliakmanis. I didn't really need to bring him up, but I just wanted to drop another name that's difficult to pronounce there. He's back in action from Minnesota. He's got some nice transfer receivers to work with as well. Corey Crooms comes in from Western Michigan. He was their top guy. Elijah Spencer, who I'm very excited about. He was the Conference USA Offensive Player of the Year last year from Charlotte. But this still looks like a run-heavy team with Sean Tyler, who transfers in as well from Kalamazoo, Michigan. I do worry about Nebraska's front 7 in here as well. I really don't have faith in any of them. If you're looking at preseason unit rankings, Phil Steele ranks the defensive line 11th and the linebackers 10th in the Big Ten. That's why I think Minnesota's going to go after it. PJ Fleck is not adverse to lining the ball up and running it down your throat if he's so inclined to. And then, of course, you have Elijah Spencer and Corey Crooms to be able to throw the ball over the top. I just think that Nebraska, Minnesota is a better team here, and that's why I laid 7 points with them in this matchup.